Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Teleislas News with the most important news of the day. In order to propose lines of work to respond to public health challenges, the island's roundtables for the construction of the 10-year Public Health Plan 2022-2031 were activated.
From 8 in the morning to 4 in the evening, members of the governor's office and the civilian population willing to represent their municipality, organization, or institution will be meeting in this space to discuss proposals that contribute to improving the health of the community and territory. The Health Secretary stated how this management is progressing.
In conjunction with the Ministry of Health and the Secretariat of Health, it is being developed this week in the territory by officials of the Ministry of Health through an agreement with the University of the Andes, everything related to the formulation of the new 10-year Public Health Plan, which is the roadmap for the next 10 years of interventions to be made under the health policy for the country. The formulation of this new plan has as main ingredient that it is taking the input of all the actors, but mainly from the territories.
The exercises that are being developed today in San Andres have already been developed in the sister island of Full Providence, as stated by the Secretary of Health, who also stressed that the idea is that those involved express themselves as individual users of the public health service.
Today, we are on the island of San Andres with social participation, but with a focus on the individual, not as an entity representing an association, but having the user as the center, the person, in order to develop, formulate, and present strategies to propose by the vision to have a new 10-year health plan.
The meeting will be held until 4 p.m. at the Apostolic Vicariate Mother Angels Theater in front of the Sagrada Familia Church.
A few days before handing over his post, the current president of the Assembly made an analysis of his management during his term.
After a year in which a court decision had to clarify that Deputy Escorcio Christopher would be the president of the Assembly during the 2021 period, he delivers an analysis of what was his management during his term a few days before the new president of the departmental body takes office on January 1st.
We did not have internet, therefore the capacity of such connectivity was applied. The platform of the cell deal is also achieved, which serves to certify people who work here. We have a platform that's called C Observer. This platform is updated and is ready for the new president to continue with the process. Through an ordinance, we were able to attain resources to invest in the restructuring and maintenance of the departmental assembly. 1,200 million was left for the new president to invest in this infrastructure so that it can be worthy and serve a noble cause as it deserves. The vice president of office was also built. We are leaving the vice president with this new office.
Among the projects developed by Deputy Christopher is the presentation of the ordinance of the Racial Emancipation Week, where it is highlighted as a celebration of the archipelago, as well as the opening of the election process for the position of General Secretary, a cause that was deserted due to lack of candidates.
And through didactic activities, the Mobility Secretariat wants to remind the community of the no parking points in the island.
There are strategic sections in the downtown area of the island where parking is prohibited in order to avoid traffic jam or congestions.
According to Decree 249 of 2016, issued by the Secretariat of Mobility, some areas where parking is prohibited were determined. Over the years, the identification of these non-parking areas was lost, and what we want as a Mobility Secretariat, and in a didactic way, through the human cones, is to indicate where these no parking areas are located. It is not a nuisance for the community. It's just that the roads of San Andres are very small and we have to improve mobility. That is why these areas were identified and established in the decree.
The coordinator states that these are strategic areas located.
Estos lugares es la Avenida Las Américas. The no parking areas are Las Américas Avenue from the intersection of 20 de Julio Avenue, Avenida Colón from the Mezquita. There is also Costa Rica Avenue, which is now a two-way road and you cannot park, Libertadores Avenue, Avenue, Atlantico Avenue. And the idea is that throughout the rest of the year, we continue to indicate which are these places and locate the no parking areas. All drivers are responsible for their vehicles, and we must look for places where parking is allowed.
The invitation is to keep the roads clear, to avoid traffic jams, and there is no problem with road actors. It is also worth mentioning that the vehicle parking correctly will have to pay a fine, towing and garage parking.
And during the next few days in the Archipelago Department, there will be adverse oceanic atmospheric conditions, for which the maritime authorities issue the following recommendations.
The Port Captain Antonio Cantillo announced the recommendation to be taken into consideration during the next few days in the island, given the atmospheric oceanic conditions.
During these days, we are going to have some adverse oceanic and atmospheric conditions. So unfortunately, we are going to have to restrict some activities. However, through the Oceanographic and Hydrographic Resource Center, we will be monitoring the oceanic and atmospheric conditions in order to evaluate their development day by day. Based on this, we will be given the respective reports to enable the maritime activities during the course of the days.
Regarding the eventual closure of the quays, the Port Captain indicated,
it all depends on the oceanic atmospheric condition. In fact, for tomorrow we foresee the possible closure of Jan Key, but as I said, this depends on the day-to-day evaluation of the oceanic atmospheric conditions.
In this regard, it is important to follow the suggested recommendation.
The recommendation basically is that people who go to the quays always buy the tickets at the established points. They must have the identification of the company, which must have a license for commercial exploitation for the purpose. And also the recommendation is to consult the weather forecast through the website of the CIOH.
As we continue with more local news, the following is an update on how the COVID situation is going on in the department. The Secretary of Health states that in recent days, the number of people admitted to the intensive care unit has decreased.
27 new infections are added to the count of cases presented in the department as of December 15 of 2021, totaling 8,326 infections since the beginning of the pandemic last year. The Secretary of Health gave an update of how the virus continues to spread in the islands.
Fortunately, we have not had any patients in the ICU. We have approximately 39 active cases and there has been a decrease. We see that the measures that were taken in conjunction with the Vice Minister of Health in November with the presence of Dr. Martha Ospina and Governor Everett Harkins and the entire cabinet to stop this chain of infection has yielded its results.
The Secretary congratulates the community for complying with the government's measures. Fortunately, in the last few weeks, the department has not been part of the list of deaths. The departmental government invites the community not to lower the guard and to continue observing the biosecurity protocols as well as to abide by the call for vaccination, especially considering that vaccination card is required to enter a commercial establishment. Today, 103,458 doses have been applied in the department.
Hello, here are the best sports of the islands. With a great performance, the Arrow Skaters Skating Club achieved several medals for the island department in Mosquera, Cundinamarca. Defying the cold rain and altitude of Mosquera, Cundinamarca, skaters of the Arrow Skaters Clubs excel, leaving traces of championship in the Christmas Cup tournament held in the region. Gold, silver, and bronze medals were obtained by this group of skaters led by Liliana Consuegra, which rightly represented the insular territory. Coach Lilo Consuegra gave us more details.
Cerramos el 2021 con un cuadro.
We closed the 2021 with a medal count to the maximum. We got 16 gold medals, 10 silver and 6 bronze, with 22 skaters from our club Arrow Skaters representing San Andres Islands, where we stood out despite cold, rain and altitude. But we put a lot of mind, a lot of physical effort to get these results. These works had been done to go to Bogotá, Cundinamarca for 3 months with these guys. They just got back from another camp in the city of Barranquilla where they got a good result, and then that preparation of the city of Barranquilla served us for the competition in Mosquera, Cundinamarca.
In these tournaments, the young skaters accumulate a great number of experiences. This is what Coach Lilo said.
Acumula una gran gama de experiencia para su deporte, sobre todo.
The truth is that they accumulate a range of experience in this sport, especially that there is a myth that we who live below sea level do not give good results in cold weather or at high altitudes, but we have broken that myth. We challenged the altitude and the climate, and we obtained achievements where our club won 2 cups in this tournament, thus bringing us the honors as one of the most representative clubs of the event. Fin del doblaje.
Successfully ends the tournament Cup of the Friendship of Veterans in the courts of Maracanã. A tournament that every year brings together a large number of fans and players in the Maracanã's Friendship Cup tournament, which ended with a great final between the teams of Impescar and Boca Juniors. Despite being tied 0-0, the match was defined by penalty kicks where the Boca Juniors team took advantage thanks to his experienced goalkeeper, former professional Everti Gonzalez. Impescar is a new team which for the first time managed to reach the final of the prestigious Veterans Tournament at Maracanã. We talked to the renowned goalkeeper Everti Gonzalez.
Ante todo le damos la gracia y la honra a Dios por este triunfo bastante sufrido.
First of all, we give honor and glory to God. It was not easy to play against a team like Impescar that had the whole tournament in the lead. We already knew from experience what to expect in these kinds of finals, that if we go to penalties, we are experienced in this. This title, we have the spirit to have been through these instances. Thank God, today was a glorious afternoon for us, where we got a good result against a very difficult team like Impescar and puts us in first place.
The organizer of this was
Thanks to God, thanks for the blessing. Thanks to him who gave us the triumph and the virtue of being able to be in the final. It was difficult. I have already lived through several similar moments and it was a bad experience. This time I give the victory to my team because of God's blessings.
And this is what Rafael Acosta said. And these were the words of John Acosta.
Satisfecha y contenta porque este triunfo.
I am satisfied and happy for this triumph, for me and for the 2 teams, especially for the Impescar team that for the first time reaches a final. For them it is a triumph, and for me it gives me a lot of joy since they were at their best. It went perfectly as we wanted, without any inconvenience, no friction between the players. It was a fair game, and that is why I feel satisfied that the championship has reached the end in harmony, just as we call it, the Friendship Cup.
And this will be all in sports. I'm Victor Fusalba.
Thank you, Victor. See you tonight.